Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk about He-Man. See, right before the Netflix He-Man show came out, it actually got me re-interested in He-Man. I haven't actually thought about He-Man probably since probably since I was a kid. That's probably been about 30 something years ago. And so, yeah, literally, I haven't really thought about He-Man like an extremely hot minute, you know what I'm saying? And I remember right before Masters of the Universe Revelations came out, I saw a He-Man Funko Pop on Hot Topic. And I'm just like, oh, hey, it's He-Man. I forgot all about that little dude. And so I started thinking about well, why is the He-Man Funko Pop coming out all of a sudden? So then I started doing a little research and I'm like, oh, there's gonna be a new He-Man cartoon coming out. So, I saw the trailer and the pictures, and I'm like, oh man, this looks awesome. And the new transformation sequence looked cool. And then I Need a Hero song came out doing the transformation. I'm like, yeah. I just started getting back into He-Man again. Cause I had forgotten that I used to be one of my favorite heroes growing up. And so then I just started researching He-Man like crazy. And as I was researching, I'm like, okay, yeah, I remember the 2002 series. I remember I just skipped that one. Then I'm like a 90s series. I'm like, do I remember that? Because it's been such a long time. And when I saw the sword, I'm like, oh yeah, I did watch that strange He-Man show where he wore pants and stuff. So, after Revelations, the first episode, and after what they did towards the end, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. I'm all like, yeah, Kevin Smith is an idiot, but I doubt he's not that stupid. He's probably gonna fix it, you know? And so, I just decided I am gonna do a review on Revelations, but I decided, you know what? It'd be really interesting to do a review on every He-Man cartoon pilot episode and pilot episode only first. That, and I haven't finished Revelations. After what they did the first episode, I watched the second one to see did things get better, and it didn't. And so I just haven't watched it since. But when I build up the courage to finish the last 3 episodes, then I will. But yeah, I won't be reviewing She-Ra. I did watch She-Ra growing up. I did love She-Ra. She-Ra was awesome. And I've actually kind of I haven't watched a full episode, but I went on YouTube and I watched a little bit of it. And I was just like, oh man, such 80s corniness, man. Geez, and stuff. Now the Netflix She-Ra show, I've never seen that, and I don't plan on watching that. I can't get past the animation. The animation looks too gooberish, and it's just I get it, it's for kids, but did it have to look like that? So I can't get past the animation, and I will not watch it. But okay, here we go. He-Man. There's actually been 4 He-Man series. I don't know if you can really count the Netflix one as a He-Man series, seeing after what happened to him in the first episode. But yeah, but for the most part, yeah, there's been 4 of them, 3 at the most. And just like many of you, I grew up on the 80s one. And it's just the thing about cartoons is this. Back in the olden days when cartoons first came out, they were there to entertain kids. However, by somewhere in the late 70s, early 80s, cartoons were made for one reason and one reason only: to sell toys. Yeah, the big toy companies want their share. They want their piece of the pie, And it's just they take a big slice, and if that slice isn't big enough to the results they want, they will have the show canceled, which will happen to Young Justice. But He-Man was all about making those toys, and boy, did they make a lot. And they made a lot off of the 80s series. Okay, so He-Man's and the Masters of the Universe. Now, to be completely honest with you, I don't remember nothing about He-Man from the 80s series. I really don't. I was a kid. I just know I loved it. That what got me into swords. I always wanted to do the whole, I have the power thing. So that's what got me in my whole obsession with swords and stuff. So, to do something unusual, normally when I review something on here, I do it from memory, from no matter how long ago it is. But since I forgot all about He-Man, I had to refresh my memory, so I decided to watch the pilot episode on YouTube. The 80s series was about as basic 80s as you can get. It had that, like, what I like to call hyper realism animation, where the people's faces look actually real, as opposed to realism, say, like Spider-Man the animated series. But yes, this series had hyper realism to it because it was back in the 80s. It was piggybacking off the 70s when they used to do the hyper realism, ultra hyper realism and stuff. And the color palette is kind of dingy because it's back in those old, like, techno-colory type days. The show is the pilot episode is very basic. It has a basic premise. It gets done when it needs to get done, and you're entertained. There's not much of a story, but it has that 80 corniness. There's a lot of corn in, the 80s series and in the pilot. So basically it's like this. The series starts off with some of Skeletor's people. They're looking to break into Castle Grayskull, like always, for like the 1 millionth time. The doors, like, what is it? The door breaks, draw breaks. What's that thing called in the castle when the doors fall down? Anyway, the doors open up, and boom, here's Man at Arms, Duncan, and here's He-Man himself, already transformed. And they take swift work of Skeletor's people. However, the woman, whose name I forgot, the evil witch lady, she starts to draw power from a passing comet, the cosmic comet. It increases her power some, but she's still no match for He-Man. He-Man is literally the embodiment of pure strength and muscle. Almost nothing can stop this man. Like a boulder can fall on him, won't even phase him. He can get blasted by something, won't phase him. It's just the dude is literally Hercules, but like the full god level. He is the ultimate uber mash. So they go back to God, what is Skeletor's place called? Snake Castle. I'm just gonna call it Snake Castle for now. That's how I remember. So yeah, they go back and we see Skeletor, and it's the Skeletor after he lost like his face and stuff. Skeletor is very corny. He's a little cringy. They make tons of memes about this dude nowadays. His voice doesn't sound the way you think it does, but his voice does sound cool. You expect him to sound kind of like Senator Snake-like, but he doesn't. He just has a very corny sounding voice, and it's not menacing, but it is enough to make you think, okay, this dude's kind of like nerdy evil sounding, And he talks, and then they start seeing like the cosmic comet, and they figured, oh, hey, you know what? If we combine our powers and everything, then we can draw on the power of the comet, and I can control it because this thing is like very powerful and this and that. So they combine their hands and they do some kind of like magic chant thing. And now Skeletor has full control of the comet. And what does he do? Of course, he wants to break into Castle Grayskull and everything. He wants to kill He-Man. And so he used the power of the comet to send down these minions, monster type things, to destroy He-Man and stuff. Now at this time, He-Man has already converted back to Prince Adam. And I will say for the 80s series, you can't tell the difference between He-Man and Prince Adam. They are literally identical. identical, except for their clothes. How other people didn't figure this out? Like, I don't know. But it's pretty obvious they're the same guy. Plus, they have the same sword. However, when you do look at Adam, you can't see his sword on the back. Like, where is it? In every incarnation, you cannot see his sword on his back. Yet when he pulls it out, all of a sudden it comes out. Like it's in some type of pocket dimension or something. But yeah, so they're talking, and Sorceress, she talks to them. She tells them that Skeletor wants to use the comet, and they should go to this wizard dude at this island because he has the ability to control comets and all this other stuff. So they race to the dude and they send Adam. And so basically, let's see, it's Adam, Tila, what's that elf looking thing? Wardolph or something like that? Eldor? I think it's Eldor. I'm gonna call him Eldor for now because I can't remember. Duncan, Man at Arms, and that's about it. The rest of the Masters of the Universe, they didn't show up. And so they're talking to the wizard dude. Lord have mercy, the wizard dude. If Skeletor was corny, this dude is super corny. This man sounds like a comedian from like the old days and stuff. And it's just the dude. It's just he's a dork. He's a huge dork. And what makes it worse about this cartoon series, all the old school sound effects whenever they're fighting and stuff, like the rip and stuff like that. I'm just like, Lord have mercy. But you know, it was fun when I was a kid, so you know, whatever. I mean, even though I'm ragging on this, even though I rewatched it twice, you know, I still had a good time watching it, and it brought me back. You know what I'm saying? So they're like talking to the wizard dude, and he's telling them how the whole comet thing is his fault because he tried to control one comet, and I think he ended up destroying it by mistake. That turned the other comet evil, and so when it was lonely, it turned evil and stuff. Look, it's fantasy, it's 80s, just roll with it. This comet apparently has like a living entity inside it, something like that. Okay, so just roll with it. So, as they're there, of course, the monster minions show up. So, it's Tila and Man at Arms, they're like fighting it off. Now, this Tila in the pilot, she's not very skilled at fighting. Not like the other incarnations that I've seen. It basically just uses a blaster, and so does Man at Arms. Now, I will say this, the animation is very 80s, it's very crude, it's very genetic for like 80s standard. The way they run and like all that other stuff. When people talk, they just kind of stare and glance in one spot. There's not much moving, there's no fluidity in it. The action sequences are not that great compared to newer stuff. It's very old school, you know what I'm saying? But you can still watch it, you can still have a good time. So Adam and Cringer, oh that's right, Cringer went with him. So Adam and Cringer, they go to like a different room, and Adam transforms. And it's of course the moment everybody loves when he pulls out his sword and he says for the power of Grayskull, and then he has the power, and then he transforms into He-Man. And then as Cringer is shaking in his boots, he like transformed Cringer into Battle Cat. And when Battle Cat transforms, he grows about 2 sizes big and has armor. Now, I will say this. Cringer, he talks in this adaptation. I don't know how I feel about that. I'll tell you later when I get to the 3rd series. But for the most part, yeah, he just talks. And he has a very Hanna-Barbarian like voice actor type voice, you know. So He-Man shows up, and of course he does what he always does. He opened up a proverbial can and he takes it to these monster dudes, and he's just whooping on them left and right. And when he throws one to another one, they smash and shatter. Dude, what did I call Elf dude? I gave him a different name. Olaf? Oh, jeez, I don't know. Okay, elf dude. He decides that for whatever reason that keeping the pieces of like these like crumbled up monster things will come in handy in the future. Why? Because the plot tells you to. That's why. So I believe after this, the wizard dude got injured. And he starts to tell them something else. I forget what. But I think they all go back to Castle Grayskull. Or maybe they go back to his castle. I can't remember which one. And they're seeing that the comet that Skeletor has control is coming towards them. And so they're worried and all this other stuff. And so He-Man, yeah, they're at Castle Grayskull. So he asks for the Sorceress to get him an assist. She launches him into the sky and he tries to like deflect the comet. Did I say missile before? You know what I mean. And so, like Skeletor and his people, they I think about to head back to Castle Grayskull, try to break into it. And then the wizard dude tells them, like if they have pieces of the comet, they can make another one, and that way the other comet won't have to be lonely and it can be good again and get off Skeletor's evil mind control. Or here comes Ellsworth. What is that his name? I honestly don't know. Elf dude. Elf dude's all like, oh, but I have pieces. And then so Teela's all like, Elf dude, I could kiss you. I tell you this right here, right now. In the 4th series, she will not be saying that. So they use magic and they form another like comet. And they send off into space and the other comet's happy. And it's like, yay, I have a buddy again. And then it flies off. And that's basically really just the episode. It's generic, it's basic. It doesn't go over your head. It's not complicated. You can sit down, you can watch it, and you can have a good time. Now, of course, at the end of each episode is a PSA announcement. Geez, I forgot what PSA even stands for. Is it parental? Student announcement? I don't know. Anyway, it's one of the type of messages that where, the cartoon characters, they tell you, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, like you shouldn't do drugs, and when you cross in the street, look both ways, those type of messages, And those things was very popular back in like the 80s and the 90s cartoons. Inspector Gadget did it, Sailor Moon did it, and He-Man did it. So now I'm going to get to the next series. This came out in the 90s. And some people like to look at this as a sequel. I mean, you can, but I don't really know how you can because his sword is different. However, time has passed, so maybe he got an upgrade in his sword. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But the new series is called The New Adventures of He-Man. This one is depicted in the future. Now, it starts off with this wizard type dude. They're far in the future and on another planet. This planet has a force field around it. Why? Because there are evil mutants looking to take over the planet. Why mutants? Because Stan Lee made the word mutant happen. And so they wanted to use mutants instead of aliens. Thanks, Stan Lee. We appreciate that. And so, like, they're always trying to like take over the planet, similar to how Skeletor is trying to take over Grayskull. So this was kind of weird. The people in this thing, even though they're far into the future, they still look like people from the He-Man older show, but they're dressed like they're from the Bible days and stuff. So if they're from the future, I would expect more high-tech stuff, not just from the mutant people or the soldiers. But I digress. Now, this series came out in the 90s, and it has that 90 cheese to it. Oh boy, there's a lot of cheese to it. There should be like a laugh track to this series, but there's not. Now, this series only lasted for 1 season, and this is the one where He-Man has a different sword, and he has blue pants. And thank God he's finally wearing pants, because in the first series, he had kind of like that barbarian type look, which is a cool look, but the loincloth thing, this got kind of irritating. Oh, did they give him briefs? I think they gave him like underwear type thing and not the loincloth. That came in the other series. Anyway, so the people on this planet, the wizard dude, who's really nice, he's all like, the mutants about to attack, and what are we gonna do? And he's all like, oh, I know what I'll do. I will send for a champion from the past to help us in the future. That seems logical, but here's the problem. If you take that champion from the past, and they can no longer defend their past, and then the future gets altered. But since it's a different planet, he doesn't care. And so, like, he sends two of his people to go back into the past as his planet is being attacked. And they go back in the past to go find, like, a good, heroic champion, but they don't know who it is. When they land to Earth, they meet some of Skeletor's people and they take them back as prisoners. Lord have mercy. Okay, first of all, these two dudes are made for comedic relief. In fact, almost everybody in this series is made for comedic relief. Now, Skeletor. This is by far the worst look Skeletor has ever had. It doesn't even really look like him. It looks bizarre and strange. And even more than that, the voice sounds nothing like Skeletor. The best way to describe this is think of the voice of the Scarecrow from the New Adventures of Batman, where he got that total redesign as like a corpse and a preacher clothes. Remember that? It sounds like him, but a watered down version. It just doesn't fit as Skeletor. This Skeletor is very corny and comedic to the point where one of his men start to laugh and he's all like, "Did I tell you can laugh? You don't laugh until I tell you to. You don't breathe until I tell you to." And then he's all like, "You know what? Just stop breathing." So the guy stops breathing. He's like, "But since I'm generous, you can breathe." I'm just like, what the world? So in a way, Skeletor tricks the two men by saying he's the good guy and that there are other bad forces such as He-Man. Now, for whatever reason, He-Man's already transformed and he's in like the wilderness. He's outside just walking around and he gets a message from the Sorceress. Now, everybody in this has a complete redesign. Everybody. And so, the Sorceress tells them that, there's a great threat in the future and you're needed there and you must leave here and go to the future and you must find the men at Skeletor's place, blah, blah, stuff like that. He goes to his parents and he tells his parents he must embark on a very special mission into the future and only he can stop it. And they're all like, "Oh, we're so proud of you, son," blah, blah, blah. And right there in front of his parents, he decides to transform. And they're shocked. They can't believe that their son Adam is He-Man. Now, we don't get to see none of the other recurring characters from the original series. He-Man goes to Skeletor's place. And then, he tells the men, "I'm the good guy, Skeletor's the bad guy." And they don't know which is which, so they take both to the future. And when they get to the future, all heck is breaking loose. So the mutants, they're now on that planet and they're blasting away. He-Man does, of course, what He-Man does. He's opened up a can. And he defeats the mutants with ease. Skeletor decides to impose his will on the main bad guy, mutant dude. And so for whatever reason, it's like the mutant dude's all like, "All right, fine, come." He's all like, I don't trust you, but I'll work with you," and blah, 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 and everything. And so now Skeletor has aligned himself with them, the mutants, so they can destroy He-Man and that planet. Now the wizard, He-Man de-transforms in front of him. Now this Prince Adam, now he looks different from He-Man. He-Man has like a ponytail, blue pants, and Prince Adam, like I said before, his hair looks like a mix between biblical days and something from Greek mythology and stuff. And he's dressed more like a Greek person and a biblical type person. And he tells the wizard, Skeletor cannot find out that He-Man and Prince Adam are the same person. So the wizard say, "Well, then you'll be my nephew, Adam, from a faraway place, a land." And his thing don't make no sense. Now, Skeletor, he knows what Prince Adam looks like. Don't you think it's going to be kind of suspicious that he sees Prince Adam and He-Man on the same planet from the future time travel? I mean, they really didn't think that through. they just really didn't. I mean, he should be able to figure it out. But I digress. Now the third series, which is also titled He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Now this came out in 2002. I was in college at that time, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh, updated He-Man version. Oh, everybody's drawn differently. Wow, animation looks good. I'm like, why does he sound like Leonardo from the 80s Turtles cartoon? And I'm like, why does his sword look so weird and different? And why does it look like a machine? So because of that, I decided just to skip it. You know, I was an adult at that time, and I haven't really thought about He-Man in a very long time, and you know, I just wasn't really into it no more, and so I decided to skip it. However, when I watched the pilot episode, which is broken down in 3 very epic episodes, I decided, you know what? I might as well give this show a chance. And it's actually pretty freaking cool. First things first, everybody has a redesign. It's very more similar and traditional to that of the 80s cartoon, but everything's updated. The clothes are updated, the hair is updated, the land is updated. Everything is updated. My God, the animation is gorgeous. Like, it is beautiful. And it has this golden amber tint filter to it throughout the entire series. So it gives you this really like different feel, different vibe that this is something new, you know? And something else, they do something really interesting in the animation. The use of shadows. Sometimes they will encase one person completely in darkness in a shadow while they'll be next to somebody who's completely lit up. It's a very odd decision. I don't know how I really feel about that. I would like that if you could see a little bit of the person light, but I don't know why exactly they did this. But yes, the animation is beyond gorgeous. The way their mechanical tools and arms transform is very realistic and organic. Like, it was like something you would see like in a live action show or movie. Like, it has that real techno transformation, pattern on top of pattern feel, you know what I'm saying? The voice casting this I really like. In the last 2 series, I like their voice cast too, except for that one Skeletor in the second series. But I do like the voice cast in this one. It is kind of weird that the Prince Adam He-Man dude is the same dude who's Leonardo from Ninja Turtles. So that gets kind of odd, but you know, whatever. Now, the ages in this. Prince Adam, he actually looks completely different than He-Man in this thing. He's depicted as a teenager, a skinny teenager at that. Teela is also aged down to be a teenager. For the most part, I look at this, if you were to ever think about all the He-Man shows, you think of the first series as the middle series. You think of the second one as the future, a sequel series. You think of this third one as a prequel, and you really can, because everything in this, pretty much everybody in this entire series gets some form of an origin story, and they get straight to the point. Now, because this is an ensemble cast, to be quite honest with you, the show doesn't really focus on Adam or He-Man. It focuses on everybody else, and He-Man just happens to show up and save the day. The only episodes that really focus on him so far that I've seen, I haven't seen every episode, I'm still on the first season. I decided to take this slow, 1 episode a day. And so far, there's only been 2 episodes that focus on Adam. And everybody else gets their own episode, and everybody else gets their own good screen time and character development, and you really get a sense of who these characters are. My only gripe with this series is the action. The action is better than the first 2 series. However, the action, because of the way that animation is drawn in 2002, it has that whole early 2000 fluid vibe to it. It isn't as fluid as fight choreography, say for like Teen Titans or Avatar: Last Airbender or some of those DC animated movies. It doesn't have that really good, fluid, realistic fight, hand coordination, sword, weapons, like fight stuff to it. Basically, the fighting is like very early 2000s. It's like once it starts to get into a sequence, it will like do a close up of like say somebody's face, or they'll do like a flip in the air or something like that, you know, or you see like a huge crash. It's just not fluid, and that what kind of like really bugs me about it. But other than that, this series so far is awesome. And yes, I have read the comments. People have started rewatching this series because of revelations and stuff. Oh boy. Now this series, just like the other two, did come out on DVD. However, the only one that's still in print is the original one. The new one, you gotta do some soul searching on eBay, and you might have to get it used. Now, this series, like I said before, this pilot was broken out into 3 epic episodes, and each one tells a specific story of the origins of like the Sorcerer elders, He-Man, and Skeletor. So the first episode starts off with Adam's father, the king. Him, man-at-arms, a shaven man-at-arms, and a younger man-at-arms. Them and the other man-at-arms, they're going, I believe, to Castle Grayskull to see the elder sorcerers. I think they're gonna tell him about the threat that Skeletor is coming or something like that. Now I forgot Skeletor's real name. He does have a real name. Skeletor is not his name. And so Skeletor and his people, they're there, and they're there, of course, to take the secrets of Castle Grayskull. There is this epic battle between all the people and, of course, the king. Now, when Skeletor throws like this type of acid bomb at the king, he deflects it with his shield. It shatters in Skeletor's face, and that's what burns and literally singes his face off to where, well, that's why he has that Skeletor appearance in his face and not a part of his body, because his body's skin is actually blue. So the bad guys are defeated, and now we get into the future. Now a couple of years has passed, and Adam and Tila are training. Now, this Tila is a lot cooler than the one from Netflix. I'm really digging this one. She's a warrior or warrioress and everything. She's very headstrong. She's courageous, but she doesn't come off as like a crab like the one in the Netflix show. And she's not as angry as the one in the Netflix show. She only gets kind of angry whenever Adam runs off from a battle and she thinks of him as a coward. But other than that, him and her are great friends. They grew up together. They're best of best buddies. You know, they love like ragging on one another. Now, one thing about her appearance has changed in this. She has extremely long hair, and it's in a ponytail. It reminds me of the WWE SmackDown Women's Champ, Bianca Belair. It reminds me of that ponytail, or Princess Jasmine. And just like Bianca Belair, she's strong, but not as strong as Bianca. That woman is strong. Adam in this, he has shaggier hair. He has clothes that are not as tight as the one from the first series. And he's very juvenile, you know. He likes to make rise cracks at his friends and this and that. And he just likes to have a good time, basically. And he thinks he's all of that. Now, Cringer is in this, and Cringer is exactly the way he is in the first series, except for one minor detail. He doesn't talk in this. Thank God. I kind of don't like Cringer talking for some reason, because it's always kind of weird that Cringer, he talks, but when he transforms into Battle Cat, he doesn't talk. He just growls. That never made no sense to me. So I'm very glad in this one he doesn't talk. Elf dude is in this, and in other episodes we find out that like he used to be very powerful until he came to this planet and he lost his wand, and now it's hard for him to do magic. So they're at the castle and there's like a celebration. I forget what they're celebrating. Maybe it's Adam's birthday. I really can't remember. So they're talking and celebrating all this good stuff. And Duncan, man at arms, he goes to Adam. He's all like, I must talk to you in private. So then Duncan takes him to Castle Grayskull. Apparently, it has been prophesied that a champion will arise one day, and that champion is Adam. So he takes him to Castle Grayskull. Now, the interior of this Castle Grayskull is that of a cave with all these blue glowing, like crystal looking things. And so, like, he meets the sorceress. Now, this sorceress has a different appearance. She has more of an Egyptian vibe to her. Now, I'm really digging this sorcerer's like new outfit. It's really great. The old one was more fantasy. This one looks more realistic and stuff. Everybody's clothes in this looks more realistic. And so, so she tells him that, you know, blah, 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 prophecy, this and that. You be the champion, blah, 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 blah. And he's just like, man, y'all crazy. I don't want to hear this crap. He's all like, I don't want to take on this responsibility. I'm not ready for all this, blah, 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 blah. And he just hightails it on out of there. Now, the entire time he's been there, the castle has been attacked by Skeletor's people. And Skeletor wants his revenge. Him and his people have been plotting for a very long time. And Skeletor is very strong in this series. And he hates the king because the king ruined his face. So they go at it and stuff. When Adam shows up, he's very shocked and surprised to see that his castle has been attacked. He goes inside and his mom is still there, but his dad's been captured. And so Skeletor people are still about to be on the attack again. So everybody, you know, they hop into gear and they start fighting off Skeletor's people. And this is the part where Adam decides, you know what? If I just would have listened to the sorceress lady, then, you know, I would have had the power to stop Skeletor. But of course, he wasn't even there. So, you know, so he decides, I'm going to head back to the Castle Grayskull. This is when Tila sees him run off and thinks he's a coward. Of course, the two cowards, Elf Dude and Cringer, they decide to follow him because they all like, well, we're gonna run too. So Adam goes back to Castle Grayskull. Well, before he takes the sword, she tells him how the elders sacrificed their power and entity to become like make the power of the sword and all this other stuff, and that magic lies in that. So he takes the sword, and this is the most radical design of the sword I have ever seen. It's really huge and bulky, and it transforms. Like in Adam's state, it's just a big, broad sword. But then when he transforms, it opens up, kind of like a Quasar saber from Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. And, you know, he says his enchantment, and he transforms. As he transforms, the sword is still transforming too. It has a very strange, mechanical look to it. That's very different and bizarre. I've never seen it. But then again, like I said before, every sword in every He-Man show is completely different from the other one. My favorite is the original one. The sorcerer, she sees that the elf dude and Cringer are spying on them, so she tells him that he needs a companion. He picks Cringer and he turns into Battle Cat. And then they head back to the castle. This is the second episode. Now we get into the third episode. The battle's going on. Everybody's fighting. You know, Duncan gets swallowed by like a monster. And here comes He-Man. This dude is huge. He has more of a barbarian, Viking type look to him. His outfit has changed. It's more brown as the other one was gray and orange. This He-Man is even stronger than the one from the first series. My God. Tila's about to be smashed by like a burning boulder. He steps in front of her and just takes it head on and punches it. The dude is massive in strength. And so, of course, him and Skeletor, they get it on. And it's a huge, huge, huge epic fight and stuff. And Skeletor is defeated, but not before he throws his father off a cliff. And He-Man rescues his father. Now, the Sorcerer tells He-Man that he can never tell nobody his identity. But I think the elf dude was about to. But Duncan makes him stop. And so that's basically the entire episode. He-Man presents himself as like the champion of mankind and all that other stuff. Now, at the end of this episode, there's no PSA announcement. However, in the following episodes, there is, just like the original series. And like I said before, this series is really great. We get to have origins of everybody. We find out that the Sorceress is Teela's real mom, and Duncan is her like adoptive father. And we get to meet the dude with the wings and how we meet the bug people. And it's just a really good cartoon series. And now the last series, the fourth series, Masters of the Universe Revelations Netflix series created by Kevin Smith. The one that has divided the entire fan base. I have decided that I am going, when I do finish watching the rest of the episodes, I am going to review it as a whole, like I said before. And I will go into more detail about this pilot episode and how I feel about it, how I feel about Kevin Smith, how I feel about the huge betrayal and the deception of being lied to, and just all that stuff. But for the sake of just not getting to all that right now, and because I'm tired, I want to go sleep, I had decided just to basically just review just like, this pilot episode and just that. And I won't get into too much feelings about it. I'll get into that into another video. So, Masters of the Universe Revelations, the first He-Man series that I have the title He-Man in it. Why? Because it doesn't revolve around He-Man. It revolves around Teela. And this series is on Netflix. Now, the animation. My God. It is gorgeous. The computer graphics, the color palette, the bright, vibrant colors. I have a hard time deciding which one is better animated, this one or the 2002 one. I respect the 2002 a whole lot more because it looks hand drawn. I love the golden red amber color filter, but this one, man, the clarity, the crystalness of this series is gorgeous. Like, it's just so beautiful, and oh my God, dude, that's one thing I love. I love good animation. I hate this newer crap like with the She-Ra thing. That animation was gross. I wanted to throw up. And that's why I won't watch that series. But I just watched the transformation sequence, and the transformation sequence ain't all that. Alright, now to this one. So, it starts off with a celebration. It's funny how they start off with a celebration. The 2002 one did too. But they start off with a celebration. This celebration is about Teela. She's about to become a man of arms. Why they don't call her a woman of arms, I have no idea. But yeah, she's about to join the force known as Man of Arms, this military force. Now, it has been stated that this is an actual sequel to the original 80s one. But He-Man's sword is different. So, I don't know how this is so much a sequel. But his sword probably transformed, so okay, I can give it that. So this is supposed to be a direct sequel. Now, they're older in this. The He-Man and Teela are much older in this. Duncan and all of them, they're all much older. It's never really been stated the age of the original one. They always look older than me. They always look like they was in their like mid-20s, early 30s. This version, they look like in their mid-30s, about to be early 40s, something like that. And so they're celebrating her about to become a man of arms. This Teela I do not like at all. I hate this version of Teela. This Teela is very arrogant, very rude, condescending. She's not very likable at all. And it probably has to do with the way they're writing modern shows now. and it shows. Now you know me, like, I'm not that whole Phantom Menace type thing, but sometimes when, like, I guess you can call, like, the wokeness gets a little cringy, a little too much, then I get kind of irritated of it. But for the most part, I don't really care. But in situations like this series, I do care because it's all throughout this first episode. I'll get more into that in another video. Before I go any further, let me just say the voice cast. I'm not really feeling the voice cast in this. Cringer is back to talking again, which I don't like. Elf Dude sounds the same as he did in the original one. That's amazing. I'm a huge Mark Hamill fan, but it is kind of weird when you hear the Joker's voice. Like, it's Joker and Ozai combined, and sometimes it's Joker whenever he gets hit by something. It's just strange hearing that. I like He-Man's voice, but I don't like Adam's voice in this. Um, Also, Adam in this is very scrawny looking. I don't really like that, but at least he looks different from He-Man, so that was an improvement. Then there's the voice of Tila. Now, I love myself some Sarah Michelle Gellar. I love myself some Buffy. I wish Sarah, why can't I say her name out? Sarah. I love myself some Sarah. I wish that she would get more like live action stuff. But I am not feeling her Tila voice. She doesn't sound the way she's drawn. This Tila is very muscular, very bulky. In fact, everybody's got the same design they did in the original one. Everybody is just huger than before. Everybody has more muscle mass. And Tila has a very Wonder Woman vibe to it. And she just don't sound the way she's drawn. And it's weird hearing Buffy's voice during the fight sequences in this. It's because Sarah Michelle Gellar has a very young, squeaky type voice, and Tila is not drawn like that. So, Duncan tells the king that Castle Grayskull is in danger, and so Tila leads the charge, and they go there, and Adam transforms. This transformation sequence is beautiful. It's so different than the other ones. It's more elaborate. You see more of it. It's like lightning hits him and his body glows and kind of like this bluish, rainbowish kind of like feature. And then you see like his clothes transform on him. And it's just like really cool. And it's just like, I just wish they would have had the I am a hero type music. No, I need a hero type music to it. So, everybody's there at the battle. Everybody's like whooping on each other. And it's a huge epic battle. And this battle, yes, finally, the action. It's very fluid. So much time has passed since 2002. And now we have good, fluid, realistic fighting to where you look like you're watching a live action show. But it's an animation. I am loving it. He-Man shows up, and like always, He's opening up a proverbial can. And he is just whooping on everybody. Him and Skeletor, they go at it. And it's a big, epic, like, magical battle, man. Like, Skeletor is actually using magic instead of brute strength. And it's just, like, so cool. Even the elf dude's getting a couple of licks in and stuff. But then Skeletor, he murders the moss dude. This angered He-Man to the point where he did something I've never seen him do before. And maybe because this is on Netflix, they're able to get away with it. He murders Skeletor. He rams his sword into his stomach. And Skeletor is standing in front of this object. And Skeletor tricked him into doing that so he can do that because He-Man's power sword is the key to unlocking this thing that's behind him. It's kind of like this archive library type thing. And Skeletor is revealing to him that inside it unlocks all the magic of Grayskull. That is basically all the magic from the Elder Sorcerers combined in a MacGuffin type orb. And this orb is the true essence of Eternia. It is what created the planet. And if destroyed, then the planet will be destroyed. And so Castle Grayskull, it transforms into its true form, this library of like magical stuff. Now, the inside of Castle Grayskull is different from that of the 2002 series. It's more like a garden. And so the evil witch lady, she's trying to save Skeletor. He doesn't want to be saved. And He-Man decides like, no. And then the Sorcerer, she does this. Okay, remember when I said that Teela and the Sorceress are like bonded by blood because the Sorceress is her mom. Now, Teela at this point still does not know that. Her father has not let her know, the Sorceress has not let her know. So when they're talking and everything, this is one thing that really just gets me irritated about Teela, is that she tells the Sorceress, like, if you knew that all this was going to happen, and Skeletor is going to do this and blah, 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 and we were all going to die because of this orb thingy, then, like, why did you even, like, send us here, you know? And so, of course, one reason why she sent them there is, like, the logical one is to try to stop Skeletor. However, the Sorcerer tells her, I just wanted to see you, Teela, for one last time. Teela doesn't understand why she said that because, of course, you know, she doesn't know that that's her mom and stuff. And so it's just kind of like, I just don't understand why they made her so angry. Like, I did explain why, the whole female empowerment thing, but that's not real female empowerment and stuff. Like, when you see a guy come off as arrogant and mean-spirited, they don't say he's a strong man, they just say he's a jerk. Or a pompous butthead, you know? After Skeletor cracks open the MacGuffin's orb, the Sorceress lady, she freezes all of time. But she's having a hard time because she said time is more powerful than that of magic. And He-Man's all like, you know, what if I use the power sword to drain all the energy from the orb? And T lets him know that it will kill you. But of course, him being a hero, he sacrifices himself. So he's absorbing like all of like the magical from the orb. And it splits the power sword into two. And then and there we see him de-transform. Everybody is shocked. Skeletor can't believe that He-Man is just a kid. And Teela, she is extremely shocked to find out that it's Prince Adam. And then boom. Next thing you know, Skeletor tries to take the swords from him, and the magic implodes, killing both of them. This is what pissed so many people off. They murdered not only Skeletor in the same time, but He-Man as well. And it was just the biggest shocker ever. I get it, they wanted to go for something big, but my God, why that? You know? Everybody's back at the castle. Duncan is explaining to the king and queen that He-Man is dead. They's like, oh, you know, he was a champion, this and that. But then they reveal he was also their son. Now, this is the part where the whole wokeness thing is a little bit out of hand. The mom knew that Adam and He-Man were the same person. The dad did not, because the dad's a man and the mom, of course, is a woman. And so when the king finds out that Duncan knew this the whole time, he is angry. He is furious. He banishes Man of Arms from the castle to never return. This then angers Tila, but then the king orders Tila to kick him out the castle. This is the part that really got me about Tila even more. Like, the part where I just really don't like her. In a huge, arrogant speech, she is furious with everybody because pretty much everybody, well, not everybody, but like Cringer, the elf dude, Adam's mom, and her adoptive father, Duncan, they all knew Adam was He-Man. This pisses Tila off to the point where she is very defiant because she and Adam were like the closest of friends, best friends. I would even go as far to say she might have even had like a crush on him or something like that. But when we found out in the next episode, there's still a possibility. But for the most part, I'm pretty sure she's a lesbian. But she could be bi. You never know. Because she really truly cared about Adam. And I understand her frustration and her anger because here's her best friend, Adam, who she grew up with and trained with, and then He-Man was a man she fought alongside with. So for so many years of her life has been nothing but a lie, and she feels like she has been lied to ever since she has been a kid. So she has decided to let her hair down and leave the castle. And I never understood that about women. Why do they put their emotions into their hair? Like, I've never understood that. It's been shown in like so many other like shows and movies, people in real life. When they want to feel free and liberated, they either let their hair down or they shave their head bald. I don't understand that. There was a similar thing that happened in the 2017 Power Rangers movie. When Kimberly's news got out, she decided, oh, you know, I'm going to chop my hair off and everything. And so with Tila, like I said, I understand why she's pissed. But I don't understand why she's that pissed off. To even when she's pissed off at like everybody, even her father. Like Adam had a secret identity. He was not allowed to tell it and stuff. And it's just like she just decides to abandon everything that she knows and loves, all because of that one deception and everything. And I don't get it. And the thing is, they have her so angry and mean spirited because in modern day writing, they think that's female empowerment. It's not. Real female empowerment is something like Captain Janeway from Star Trek Voyager. So that was my review of all the pilots of the He-Man series. And yeah, you can catch the first 3 series on YouTube. Like pretty much every episode is there. And of course you can catch the Revelation one on Netflix. And like I said before, you know, you can kind of link all these shows together. Well, probably not Revelations with the whole He-Man and Skeletor blowing up thing. But for the first 3 series, yeah, you can kind of link them together. And, you know, it's kind of cool. You know, the swords don't match up, but the storylines kind of do for the most part. Like, you know, you got the 2002 one as the prequel. You have the 80s one as like the stuff that happens all throughout the middle. And then, of course, you have the 90s one that happens all in like the sequel future type stuff. And it's just kind of like a nice full little circle. But then there's Revelation that throws in the proverbial monkey wrench. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.